At this time, I'd like to ask Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart's Deputy Chief of Staff, Miguel Otero, and Bob Burleson to come to the podium. This side.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Miguel Otero. I'm Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart's Deputy Chief of Staff and District Director. Unfortunately, the Congressman couldn't be here this evening, so he asked me to make two presentations on his behalf. Two of the most recognizable symbols of American democracy are our U.S. Capitol and our flag. This flag that I'm holding was flown over the U.S. Capitol on July 9th for Mr. Burleson. So I'm going to present this for. And then on July 11th, the Congressman went to the floor and spoke about all the great work that this man has done for our state for so many years. It'll be in the congressional record for as long as this country is a country. So there's a lot of wonderful things, a lot of hard work in this congressional record, and we just want to thank you for what you've done. You'll have a wonderful evening.
Miguel, thank you very much, and let the Congressman know that we certainly missed him, but that we think the world of him, and you've got 1,000 people in this meeting that are pulling hard for him to win his re-election. Thank you.
So as you can tell, this evening is a little bit different from our normal convention. We're obviously doing something a little bit different, and I had to tell one person, I'm not going to say who it is, but yeah, Bob Burleson's retiring tonight. So it's all right, I won't tell. The board has agreed to do another years in their present term to help with the transition of Anath and his family and welcoming them to from the president-designate to the president of our association. So tonight, for the rest of the evening, it's all about Bob. And for those that know me really well, I mean Bob Burleson. So that's what tonight is going to be about. We're here tonight to honor Bob Burleson and show our appreciation to him as he has represented all of us for over 30 years. Over the last several years, I've had the opportunity to become much more involved in the inner workings of FTBA through committees, through the board, through the executive committee, and now as the chair. And I've spent time with Bob in the halls of the Capitol in Tallahassee, up in the congressional offices in D.C. during the fly-ins, and the Burns Building, which is home to our Florida Department of Transportation. In every one of those meetings, without exception, the room at some point gets quiet, gets ready to start the meeting, and they all turn to Bob. And it doesn't matter if there's 3 of us in the room or 30 of us, everybody looks to Bob to set the tone on those meetings. He puts the room at ease. He explains the issues from a contractor's perspective. He's able to gather consensus no matter what the issue, how difficult the issue. And he's able to bring everybody together for a solution that's doable for the most part for all sides, and everybody comes together. And he's always been able to do that. In D.C., when the group of contractors that go up for the fly-in every year, we go into the congressional offices, they walk right by us and they want to talk to Bob. Congressman Diaz-Balart about knocked Scottie Pittman on his heels, which is not easy to do, so that he could get over to Bob and give him a big man hug. I mean, and it's like that everywhere he goes. There's a ton of respect there for Bob Burleson and what he's able to do in representing all of us. We love Bob, not just for what he's been able to do for FTBA in our industry, but for who he is. He's always been a contractor just like all of us. Just a little bit about the history and his professional career. After graduating from Virginia Tech, he went to work for Wiley Jackson in Roanoke, Virginia. It was a family business, Beverly's family. And eventually, as a vice president, he made his way to Florida with offices in Jacksonville and Orlando. The company liquidated in the mid to late 1980s, and it was around that time that FTBA was in some real dire straits. I wasn't around with the organization at that time. I was still in college, but from what a lot of you have told me, we're lucky to have an organization today. It was that bad. There was declining membership, a lack of respect for what we all do for our industry, and financially the group was in trouble. A small group, a committee got together in late 1988 comprised of Mike Cohn, Bob Martin, Joe Capoletti, Willard Ellsbury, and Jack Nutbrown. They interviewed and offered Bob the position of FTBA president, and thankfully he accepted. And he probably didn't realize to the full extent of what he was stepping into. But like any hardworking contractor, he jumped in with 2 feet and started problem solving for the association. He toured the state with Bob Martin, who was the chair at that time, went around the state, met every member. My understanding is he met every member, and along the way gathered a few more and started building the reputation of this organization. He's worked tirelessly for all of us, the board, ARTBA, DOT, and others to make our industry better, this organization stronger than it's ever been, and to take Florida's infrastructure system to be the best in the country. Here are just a few of Bob's career accomplishments, things that have happened during his career. He built a strong and usually unified FTBA family. FTBA, FDOT Contractor Construction Conference, project awards, the FTBA Scholarship Program, non-project specific DBE goals, that was a big deal for our group, the Henry Fuller Task Team meetings, the establishment of regular contractor DOT meetings to discuss industry issues. He championed open dialogue with FDOT, which led the way for more fair and equitable specifications. At the onset of the design-build discussion, Bob slowed the implementation and encouraged a lot more contractor participation in the implementation of those specifications. Through his legislative relationships, he helped limit sweeps on the Transportation Trust Fund and helped to provide long-term funding for all of our projects. And who could forget Tractorcade in 1990, and about 20 years later, the Rally and Tally. Some of Bob's personal accolades: he has won the Golden Eagle Award from the Floridians for Better Transportation, the FTBA Soapbox Award, the Cutter Award, the establishment of an FTBA Presidential Scholarship in his name, the FTBA Hall of Fame, the ARTBA Hall of Fame, the very prestigious ARTBA Nello Tier Award. Awards are great, but in my opinion, Bob is so much more than accomplishments and accolades and awards, those awards that he's received over the years. There are a few words that no matter where you go, whether it's in D.C. or Tallahassee or our board meetings or around a campfire at Coxwell's Ranch during one of the Henry Fuller meetings, there are a few words that you hear Bob being described, and they're universal. A family man, a professional, a man of high integrity, and in one word, class. But that shouldn't surprise anyone because, like the rest of us, Bob's a contractor at heart. So next, we're going to have a few speakers that are going to come up and share a little bit of their special thoughts on Bob, and they have promised that they will be brief. So with that, we'll start with Andy Clark. Please come up to the podium.
I'd like to thank Anath and Bob for letting me come up here and say a few words. My name's Andy Clark. I retired from, after 30 years with wonderful years with Loire Construction Company about 4 years ago. But prior to that, I worked for Wiley Jackson in Roanoke, Virginia, and with the Burroughs family and Bob Burleson. And during that time, got to know Bob and the Burroughses very well, and very fine people. And Bob and I were on different jobs together. We were both Hokies, went to Virginia Tech football games all the time, and just a wonderful time. I don't know whether any of you all know it, but Beverly's brothers here, Jack Burroughs. Jack, where are you? You stand up there, Jack. Jack and Bobby were one of the first tennis scholarships awarded at Virginia Tech, and they were roommates, and that's how Bobby met Beverly. And the whole family's very avid Virginia Tech fans, and just had some wonderful times while I was there for 10 years. And I thought over the years that Bobby and I had developed more than just a working relationship. We were friends. And then when I heard his name come up to come down here, I said, you couldn't find a better, perfect match for this industry, because as Leo said in one of his speech there, we were hurting. I think the Panhandle people had dropped out for a little while, and I said, Bobby'd be a perfect person. Well, he comes down here, and I think I'm one of the first persons he called. He says, Andy, would you take over the spec committee for me? I says, no, I don't know anything about it. I've just been on it for a couple days. And he says, just do it temporarily. 20 years later, I'm still on the thing. You know, there's all these fine people that talked about Bob. They're all true. He's a wonderful person. And I always think of, I don't think of Bobby and Beverly. It's always Bobby and Beverly. I've known them like that for 40 years now. And they're just two wonderful people. They have a wonderful family. One of the most ethical people I know. And not only do we have a working relationship, but I'm proud to say he's a very good friend, and Beverly, same. You too, Jack. But that's all I have to say. But Bobby, we're going to miss you, but I plan to keep in touch. You can come to North Carolina.
Thank you, Andy. Next, I'd like to bring up Dan Weekly to speak.
It's hard to beat all that. Back in 1970, Weekly Asphalt had an asphalt plant located in Brevard County. Bob worked for Wiley and Jackson Company, who gave us the asphalt on 2 of their FDOT projects. My father and Mose Watt handled all the dealings with them and worked out the contracts with Bob. My father told me at the time how good Bob was to work with. In 1989, I was on the FTBA board. Our association was at a low point, and we needed a president to lead us. Even though we had very little money, and Bob did not come cheap, it was a lot of money at that time, we voted to give him the position. We all felt with his background and experience that he would do a good job. I don't think anyone imagined how it would turn out. Bob has led us with pride and dignity for the last 30 years. His example of leadership is what has kept the association strong. We have come a long ways, and Bob deserves the credit. He always thinks before he speaks, and if we are dealing with difficult issues, he finds a way to work them out to everyone's satisfaction. I consider him one of my best friends, and I will miss talking to him on a weekly basis. Thank you, Bob, and thank you, Beverly, for what you have done for the association. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to invite former DOT Secretary Ben Watts to the microphone.
Thank you. I will be brief. For those of you who were not here in 1989, you will never know how bad it was. And for those of you who were here in 1989, you still probably can't believe how good it is. Bob Burleson and I worked together for almost 8 years. We did not always agree, nor would we be expected to. But in 8 years, Bob Burleson and I never had a cross word, because we knew that we had to work together to make Florida what it had to become to be what it is today. The other thing I do want to say is how much the DOT, through the years, and especially the spouses who most of us had to listen to all the time, appreciated how much Beverly Burleson made them a part of everything that went on here. This is a great organization. It has gotten better and better and better, in large part because of the kind of person that Bob Burleson was, is, and will always will be. Thank you.
All right, next, another former speaker, Secretary of Transportation, Stephanie Kopelousis, please.
Good evening. What an honor it is tonight to celebrate my friend, my mentor, a legendary powerhouse in transportation industry, Bob Burleson. When an aunt asked me to say a few words, I thought, what can I say that will do him justice? So here we go. Bob's been a leader in our industry, both at the state and federal level, for 3 decades. Wow. He's been the go-to guy in transportation policy, whether it was preventing raids to the Transportation Trust Fund in the state capitol, or in D.C. when we fought getting a better rate of return for Florida. Bob was the guy you went to talk about strategy, to get his advice. What should we do? If you wanted to get something done, who'd you go to? Bob. He got the phone call. But Bob's been more than a leader. He's been a partner. You see, Bob could have taken one of 2 roads, no pun intended. He could have been our biggest adversary, and a formidable one at that. But instead, he chose to be a partner. And if you ask any former or current DOT secretary, they'll tell you that. He's the best partner we as a DOT could have ever asked for. But don't get me wrong. He was a passionate advocate for you, for each of you. We didn't always agree. We had some great debates. Anybody that attends the Henry Fuller Task Force or the round table this afternoon can verify that. But what Bob always did was remind us that we share the same goal, that working together we're going to be better. And he's the one that set the tone, that we are better together. Bob's knowledge and leadership have earned him the respect of all of you in this room, many elected officials in this state and across the country, the rank and file at DOT. And you look at the awards that he's received. I mean, you just look at the ARPA Hall of Fame. But he never did it for the recognition. He earned it because he worked tirelessly and selflessly to improve transportation, which he knew was the foundation of our economy and was important to each of the citizens in our state. Bob, you leave an extraordinary legacy behind, not just for your remarkable career accomplishments, but also for your character. You are a man who is true to his word, a man of integrity and honesty, a man who inspires people, a true leader, a true professional, a true partner who stands during the good times and helps you through the rough times. There is no better person you want by your side when you're walking the halls of the Capitol or the halls in D.C. But it wouldn't be complete, this tribute wouldn't be complete without recognizing your amazing family. Beverly, thank you for the sacrifices you've made for Bob to serve this industry, for our state, and all that he's done. And thank you for being a part of every single bit of it. You experienced the ups and downs with all of us. Bob could not have accomplished all that he has without you, your support and your strength, and we thank you. I also want to address the Burleson brothers and his grandchildren who are his pride and joy. I know you see him as the best father and an amazing grandfather. But Bob has been the patriarch of our transportation family. He's been a mentor and a role model to many of us. He shared his wisdom. He held high expectations for all of us. And he instilled the spirit of teamwork. One of my biggest honors is when he has introduced me to people and said, "You're the daughter I never had." With that, I will ask every one of you to raise your glasses, and I left mine at the table. On behalf of all the has-beens at DOT and the current team at DOT, Bob, thank you for your leadership and for your role in making Florida DOT the best in the country. We are better because of you. This is a tribute to your professionalism, your integrity, and your work ethic. Bob, we celebrate you and the legacy you leave. We will work hard to continue what you created. Bob, we celebrate you and Beverly and are extremely grateful to have you in our lives. Thank you.
And our last speaker, Mike Horan, please.
Good evening. These are hard acts to follow, especially when I just found out I was going to speak about an hour ago. So I don't have anything prepared, Bob, so here we go. Many of you think that Bob's Barricades was named after Bob Burleson. It wasn't. Then I get asked, how old is Bob Burleson? Don't we all get asked that? Well, Bob, I found your camera. Here's how it works. And it goes like this, and you crank it like that. And this was used when he was a project manager, this was his camera. So you guys can all figure out how old Bob is. 2 short stories. I was on the board in '88 as a young person, I guess, not knowing anything. And they had this Bob Burleson come in there, and we interviewed him, and they talked to him, asked him questions. And I'm thinking, wow, this guy is a dude, man. He is going to be really good. I mean, I knew it day one. So once he starts, he says, hey, Mike, I want to put you on the Political Action Committee with 3 other members. Now, the old-timers will know these names: Doug Cohn, Howard Hewitt, and Joey's dad, Joe Anderson. Now, here's these guys, and I'm in my 30s, and I'm like knock-kneed and scared to death. But that was the best thing that ever happened to me, because they all became my friends. I'm a guy from Michigan, coming down here in the South. I don't know if they really looked at me all that really well, but those guys kind of took me under their wing, and so did Bob, and I appreciate that very much. So, Bob, the only thing I can tell you is, with the best thing you did was pick Beverly as your wife. That was the best thing you ever did. And there's not a person in this room that don't love both of you dearly. And I can't thank you, and I guess in behalf of all the past chairmen, we all can't thank you enough for what you did for us. So thank you, big time. Appreciate it very much.
Okay, the association, and I mean specifically a very large group of members contributed, and we have a gift to present to Bob and Beverly, if you'd both please come up to the podium. Now, as they're making their way up here, we've got some brochures of what we're going to be sending them on. But I believe we have a video too to show everybody. Some slides.
Okay, Bob and Beverly. So Bob and Beverly, how this all came about was really your son Jay made a few phone calls and suggested that we do something different than usual. So how it all started is I wrote a letter to all the past chairmen. Bob wrote a letter to all the board members that morphed into people volunteering to pay for this. So all these people out here bought this for you, and it's our thank you, and we appreciate everything you've done.
And in case you couldn't tell from the slides, it is a 24-day trip around the world on a private jet with stops, as you can see on the map, and all expenses paid for. It's sponsored by National Geographic. And thanks for the idea there, Jay.
Wow. I had some remarks prepared, but I'm not quite sure how to start off after that. That was, I'm just floored. I mean, you all are certainly amazing. I knew that anyway, but this is just unbelievable. Beverly, come over here beside me. But, you know, this is just amazing. And I thank all of you from the bottom of my heart for that. I know we've kind of had a long program tonight. I hope that you'll indulge me just to say a few things to all of you out here. My wish from the time that the plans were underway for this convention was that the focus of the convention not be on my retirement. Obviously, my wish wasn't granted, but I've got to say how incredibly humbled I am that you're honoring Beverly and me in such an amazing way. You know me, I usually kind of talk ad lib, but I had to write down some comments tonight because there's just no way I could say what I wanted to say without doing that. But everyone in this room and everyone associated with FTBA and FDOT is a member of our extended family. There are lots of special guests that have been introduced, but I want you all to know that each of you is a special guest in my mind. It's hard to be brief when reflecting on 30 years, but I'm going to give it my best shot. First, let me say a little bit of word about our staff. From the beginning, my philosophy with my staff was and is that we are here to serve the members. Each member's requests or concerns deserve equal consideration and response. In the words of a TV commercial, we wanted to be your hometown bank. We wanted to provide personal service wherever possible. Rigid is not a term that works well in associations. For example, we get tons of last-minute requests for changes at the convention every year. The staff, including me, knows that their job is to accommodate those requests whenever possible. When I arrived in February of 1989, Alice Rasmussen was FTBA's Vice President of Legislative Affairs. Alice served FTBA for the next 25 years. I didn't know much at all about Florida politics, legislative workings and dealings, and certainly could not find my way past the front door of the Capitol. Alice took me under her wing and showed me the ropes, along with introducing me to legislators and lobbyists I needed to meet. I will be forever grateful to Alice. Debbie Sackwitz and Angela Carlisle both worked many years for FTBA and were dedicated employees. I would be remiss in not recognizing and thanking them for all they did for FTBA. Now to our current staff. First, Stacy Hydel, who has been with FTBA for 4 years. In a word, Stacy is indispensable. Her amazing creativity, along with her wordsmithing, allow our communications to flow seamlessly and look very professional. Stacy is also responsible for creating the wonderful PowerPoint presentation by the registration desk with a few of Beverly and my favorite pictures through the years at FTBA. After the fact, she told us that those few pictures were over 700 photographs. That's a lot of scanning of pictures. But to have an employee who never complains about anything you ask her to do is a rare breed in today's world. Stacy, thank you so much for all you do for FTBA and for me. Next is Cynthia Hartsfield. Cynthia has been working with FTBA for 2.5 years. She has brought our financial systems into good order. We're fortunate that we have Cynthia on staff. Cynthia, unfortunately, could not be here. She's working out of our Tallahassee office all week while her husband is recovering from a stay in the hospital, but he's doing fine, and Cynthia, I'm sure, will be right back here next year. Of course, most of you know my son, Jay. Jay is our Vice President of Membership Development and has taken over coordinating all of FTBA's events. Certainly, pulling off this convention without me knowing a lot of what was, obviously not knowing a lot of what was going on, is a testament to Jay's abilities. I possibly wouldn't want to know how many damn it Jays he's had to listen to through the years. I'm convinced that no one can secure sponsors better than Jay. I knew that because he was great for 40 plus years now asking me for money, so I knew he knew how to do it. FTBA's cash position has improved dramatically thanks to Jay's diligent work. Son, I'm very proud of you. Finally, the newest member of the FTBA staff, your president-designate and my successor, Ananth Prasad. When Ananth first told me he was interested in succeeding me, I was elated. We could search the company over and not find a better leader more suited for this position. I know Ananth will do a great job. Ananth, welcome to you, along with your wife, Sunita, and daughter, Risha. Welcome. Next, if you'll allow me the privilege to introduce you to some of our family and very, very special friends who have joined us this weekend. I would like them to stand and be recognized in their seats. Please hold their applause until I finish. First, other than Beverly, the loves of my life, our oldest son, Rob, and his wife, Lisa. Of course, our middle son, Jay, and our youngest son, Brad, and his wife, Laurie. Our 6 wonderful grandchildren, going from oldest to youngest. I think they're right over here. I can't see in the light, but there's Trey, Trap, Grace, Thatcher, Gray, and George. Mighty proud of them. My youngest brother, Billy, and his wife, Allison. Jack and Pam Burrows, you heard Andy mentioned Jack. Jack is Beverly's brother, and for the past 50-plus years, certainly one of my best friends. Just a little sidelight, Andy mentioned that Jack and I were the first two people, I guess, recruited and given scholarships to play tennis at Virginia Tech, and Jack was a heck of a lot better than me. But Jack was my roommate, and so the story went that after I met Beverly and we got married, I just told everybody I stopped sleeping with one member of the family and started sleeping with another. Next, Kordell and Nancy Parven, longtime great friends from Dallas. Kordell has spoken at FTBA events through the years, and they're super friends. Wayne and Beth Curry, great friends and also parents to our amazing photographer, Britt. Wayne will be leading the prayer breakfast in the morning. And then certainly, last but not least at all, my great friend, Senator Jack Latvala, and his wife, Connie Prince, longtime friends and strong supporters of transportation throughout the state of Florida. Jack, thank you, and Connie. Now, just a few words about Beverly. You've heard a lot about her tonight, certainly not enough, and what everybody has said is so true, because I would certainly not be anywhere near where I was without Beverly, and it was obviously the best decision I ever made in my life, and thank goodness she said yes. But I don't need to tell you what she's meant to the FTBA. She's truly been the first lady of the association, but more importantly, she's my best friend. She's my life companion, my most trusted advisor. I could go on and on and on. But whatever success I've had would never have been possible without you, and I love you very much. All right, 30 years have gone by very quickly, certainly for me. I know that the older you get, the faster time goes, and boy, that is sure the truth. FTBA has grown to be one of the most recognizable groups in the state, and is certainly the voice of transportation in Florida. This is due to all our members and the efforts each of you has made. I've been most fortunate to be the leader of this association for 30 years, but the strength of FTBA is its members. I jumped in front of an incredibly strong base of members and ran as fast as I could to not get run over. You very much took to heart my continual charge that those who show up make the rules. To my past chairmen and chairwomen, thank you all for your gift of leadership to the association. You unselfishly gave of your time and your talents to FTBA. We worked together, learned from each other, and enjoyed a great friendship, which I will always cherish. Please, all my past chairmen, stand and be recognized. To the former secretaries, Ben Watts, Tom Berry, Jose Abreu, Denver Stutler, Stephanie Kapeloussis, Ananth Prasad, Jim Boxhold, and current Secretary Mike Dew. You each did an amazing job of leading an outstanding group of DOT employees. I consider each of you, as well as others from DOT here tonight, my friends. You have always been fair to me, and I hope you feel that I treated you fairly. Would you all stand and be recognized, please? We could not have been successful without our partnership with the Florida Department of Transportation. Each of the secretaries truly allowed our partnership to flourish. I firmly believe we have the best DOT in the nation. As Beverly and I discovered driving through 13 states on our way back from Maine a couple of weeks ago, we definitely have the best roads. Let me reflect back to 1989 when I started at FTBA. After we had sold our construction company headquartered in Virginia in 1987, I was thinking about going to law school, but I made a great decision to move to Tallahassee and take this job instead. I arrived full-time at the beginning of February 1989. As Beverly pointed out, many of you that are here tonight had never been to an FTBA convention in 1989 or 1999. Heck, a lot of you weren't even born. Nevertheless, as you've heard earlier, FTBA was not in good shape financially, but that's really kind of an understatement. We had $25,000 in a checking account. We had no savings. The day I sat down at the desk the first day, we had $80,000 in current payables. We owed the American Road and Transportation Builders another $80,000. We had a $750,000 mortgage on a brand new building, and the membership dues for the following year had been pre-billed in order to keep the association afloat. In a word, we were flat broke. I'm glad I didn't ask those questions in my interview, or I may not have ever come. Actually, for my birthday, my first year, Beverly gave me furniture for my office. Fortunately, you, the members, really stepped up, and we slowly climbed our way out of a giant hole. By 1996, we had paid off our building, and today we're on very sound financial footing. FTBA works because of you all, the members. You allow it to work. While we don't always agree, we generally have a consensus on major issues. One key strength to any association is the ability to speak as one voice for the group it represents. Thank all of you for allowing FTBA and me to do that. I hope that will always remain the case. Make no mistake, FTBA is a contractor organization first and should always remain so. You have a great leader and spokesperson in Annette who will make that happen. Beverly and I feel very blessed that we've made so many lifelong friends through FTBA. As I said, we consider each of you family. I'd like to close with just a few quotes, most of them not my words, that I've tried to use as a guide through my adult life. A few people in here refer to them as Bobisms. Your word is your bond. Road building feeds my family. The association executive's role is bridging the gap between private enterprise and public policy. Change is either a force to be feared or an opportunity to be seized. The choice is ours. The smallest of deeds always exceeds the greatest of intentions. Never give up old friends for new friends. None of us can do anything on our own, but we can all do a small thing with great love. Everything that is won't be for long. Either we create our future or someone else will. When the horse is dead, get off it. When the ship misses the harbor, it's seldom the harbor's fault. You may not treat everyone equally, but you can treat everyone fairly. Now, particularly for lobbyists in the crowd, if something is inevitable, accept it. Ride the horse in the direction it's going. And my favorite one of all, you do not have to show up to every argument you are invited to. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart. You're the finest people anywhere. Thank you.
Thanks again to Bob and Beverly for their 30 years of service to our association and the transportation industry. You both have been an integral part of our association and all of our lives. While we will miss you, we know that you will still be around and you're welcome anytime. Thanks to everyone for coming this year to the 2018 convention. We hope you had a good time and will join us next year in Marco Island for our convention. While this concludes the banquet, we do have an after party planned that you don't want to miss. It's over in the Palm Court and Cathedral rooms. We're going to have dueling pianos as well as a roast of Bob and Beverly. So thank you all for attending.